They say laughter is good for the soul, but tonight's guest believes he can do something more. He can make us think, can help us heal, and sometimes he can help us see life from an entirely different perspective. For decades, he has used his voice in more ways than one. As a comedian, radio personality, encourager, and man of faith, he shared stages with comedy legends, stood alongside some of gospel music's biggest names, and built a career proving that you don't have to tear people down to make them laugh. Tonight we're talking comedy, radio, faith, mental health, and what happens when laughter becomes part of your purpose. So pour your favorite bourbon, light your favorite cigar, get comfortable, and let's spark something real. Welcome. Smoke and Ice begins now.
Smoke and ice, twice as nice. I'm your vice. Smoke and ice.
Now, here's your host, Kelly Allen.
Smoke and ice.
Welcome to Smoke and Ice, where smoke meets sophistication and ice meets intensity. I'm your host, Kelly Allen, and tonight we're sitting down with a man whose career has crossed comedy clubs, churches, concert stages, television, and radio. My guest brought his comedy to a national television audience with an appearance on BET's ComicView in 1993. He's performed at the Gospel Music Workshop of America, appeared at the Stellar Awards, and shared stages with gospel powerhouses, including Yolanda Adams, Kirk Franklin, and Fred Hammond. And then there's comedy. He has opened for some serious names like Robin Williams, Bernie Mac, D.L. Hughley. But what makes his story especially interesting isn't simply where he's performed, it's what he's chosen to do with the microphone once it's in his hand. His comedy blends laughter with spirituality, life experiences, mental health awareness, encouragement, and just enough truth to make you laugh. And then think about why you're laughing. He's also an award-winning radio personality whose voice became familiar to listeners throughout North Carolina. Tonight, we're meeting the man behind that voice. Please help me welcome to Smoke and Ice, Mr. J.T. Hart.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome.
Oh my goodness. I think that's probably about the best intro I've ever had in my life. Absolutely. Thank you. It was wonderful.
You're so very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here with me today.
Yeah.
We got a chance to talk a lot, but we want to share everything now with our audience. So before ComicView, before radio, before the big stages, who is J.T. Hart?
Well, J.T. Hart is the grandson of a preacher. My grandfather was called to preach. My father was called to preach. And I was called to preach, but God called me back and said he had the wrong number. So, go figure.
Not the wrong number. Not the wrong number.
Mm-hmm.
But, maybe he had you give the message in a different way.
Well, we're all called for such a time as this. Mm-hmm. And, my calling might not be yours and your calling might not be mine, and everybody have their slice of the pie. And I've learned that with my experience that I probably didn't do well or wouldn't do well with the cookie cutter, because, it was a time just 40 years ago. If you did not sound like Martin Luther King in the pulpit, you were not a good Baptist preacher.
You had to be able to hoop.
You got to be able to hoop. And you got to lay the foundation, and you got to start off slow. You got to start off slow, so slow like you on medicine. And now, that's the way it was. And I never really fit into that mode.
And you had to be able to sing a little bit. Sing a little bit.
If you's a preacher and can sing, oh yeah, you getting ready to go to a big church.
Right.
Yeah, and can sing on key. You can go to a bigger church.
Right. Not off key, but on key.
On key.
Wow. So, did you consider yourself a funny kid?
No. Actually, as a kid, I suffered from social anxiety. And so therefore, unless I knew you and was very comfortable with you, outside of that environment, I was extremely taciturn. I was very quiet. I was very introverted. I thought a lot. If you suffer from anxiety, a lot of times you're in your head, and you're always second guessing yourself. That's the kind of person that I grew to be up until shortly after college.
So, with you saying all of that, and we'll get into more of that a little bit later, but I just want to ask you, as a kid, did you feel like you were at a disadvantage? Did you feel different, or did you just feel like you just didn't want to be bothered?
I would say now, because I know a little bit more, I probably had traces of being artistic. I didn't mind being by myself. I didn't mind spending my evenings reading, and I was very comfortable in my own skin. And outside of the immediate friends or church friends that I had, I was very much to myself.
So you were comfortable.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
very much.
Yeah. And that speaks a lot for you, because some children can think that that's a disadvantage, or that there's something wrong with them, not be comforted in them saying, I just prefer to be by myself. I don't
Right.
want to be with anybody else. I don't have to be social.
Right.
I don't have to be the most popular.
Right.
If you don't see me, I'm okay. And everybody doesn't get that. Some of these babies now see that as, why do I feel this way? So that's
Right.
a really, really great thing
Right.
for you.
And I felt that way to some degree, particularly growing up in the church. Once again, church became a haven where I felt extremely comfortable. I knew that there was more in me, but it was like being in a prison. And if you know anybody that suffer from anxiety, it's almost like, get it out, spit it out, come on. It's there. You just haven't figured out the combination how to let it loose. And as I matured and I went through college, it would come out a little bit more. So one time I was with my pastor. I don't know if we were flying back from a particular location, and this is like in the early 90s. And he said, hey, have you ever thought about doing comedy full time? And I looked him upside the head and I said, I haven't even thought about doing comedy part time. He said, you got a knack for it. You considered it. And I knew that I had a knack for it around people that I did not have to prove myself to. Those that I had to prove myself to or were not familiar with me, to put it bluntly, I was extremely insecure. And that's just the way it was. I was extremely insecure in audiences that I was not familiar with. And so I remember even as little as 13 years ago, I was not comfortable performing in front of audiences outside of the church.
Really?
And it took individuals to say, yo, you know about this competition? Yeah, I ain't got nothing to say to them. Yo, I already entered your name. And then, so I still deal with, as some people probably will look at me and see me as well put together. I try my best to dress on point. I'm a little loud today, but not always. I'm a little loud today. But as some black men, I suffer with insecurities like the best of them. And you just deal with it. You just roll with the punches and you just put your best foot forward.
We hold on to that thought right there, because we're going to get through some things. I don't want to jump too far, because that statement right there will speak to a lot of people a little bit later, and I want to get into it. But do you remember the first time you intentionally got in front of an audience and said, I'm going to make these people laugh?
1991, 92. My pastor at that time, Bishop Mark Sharona, who said, have you thought about doing comedy full time? He said, listen, we had a conference, and Dr. Ed Montgomery, who's in Houston, Texas, the pastor of Abundant Life Cathedral, Yolanda Adams' pastor. He was at the conference, a bishop that was well respected, who preached at Azusa, who preached for women's empowerment. Brian Keith Williams, Luther Blackwell, they was there. And I performed for about 45 minutes, and I was just giving them everything I got. And my intention was to just do 15 minutes. But like anybody that's in entertainment, the more you laugh, the more you feel, as the preachers would say, I feel my help coming. Right. And the more they would laugh, the more I felt. And the next thing you know, it was like 45 minutes. And I got invitations to go to all of the churches. And that started me into traveling to mainline churches, because you go to a church and it's 2,000 strong. Then it was like, oh, if you went over there, we got to have you over here. And that started back in 1992.
So do you remember some of those comedic deliverances that you gave?
I would always talk. I talked about growing up in the Baptist church. Growing up in the Baptist church, they used to have testimony service at the end of the year. They used to have a watch night service. I don't know if they have them as much as they used to, but back in the day, they used to have watch night service. And folks would get up and testify and tell a lie at the same time. I remember one time.
Wait, I'm laughing because it's so true.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank the Lord for my life, health, and strength. And when I walked into church, the sister just sat up there telling somebody, I'm sick as a dog. Just lying for no reason at all. I want to thank God that I'm saved right where I stand. And it would just be creative lying for no reason at all. They would just get up and say, I just want to thank God because he's been good to me. And the first thing they would do, they would testify to the devil. You know what that devil did today? And they would speak of the devil as if he was their alter ego. But those was things that was going on in churches. I want to thank God that I'm saved right back where I stand. I'd be like, well, you better not move. Or you could be lost.
You'll be lost.
Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. And so testimony service was wild. I remember one time I was sitting in testimony service. I had a friend named Donald. And the preacher, it was offering time. And back in the day, people would cheat the offering. They'd pass the plate by, and the offering would come, they'd pass the plate by and everything. And I remember one time, my friend Donald had wrote a check for $1,000. Right at that time, the pastor looked at him and saw the check and looked at him, and said, Lord, hit him again. Hit him one more time. Hit him one more time in the spirit. Hit him one more time in the spirit. One more time. Because, the biggest revivals you're going to have is going to be about February, March. Right. You know why? Income tax.
Right.
Or we go get that money. The reb is go get that money. And that's one thing. There's a lot of, even though the church ain't funny, but there's a lot of funny things that happens in church all the time. All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought about revivals and when they fail. And you just said it to me. And I'm like, wow, they did. I always round out because it would fall close to my birthday.
That's it.
And I'd be like, well, why? Why I got to go to church? It's my birthday.
Listen, if you know what you're doing as in reference to raising offerings, there are gifted people when it comes to getting offerings. It's almost like a player. A player can walk into the room and almost dictate the women that got money. Almost like a sister. A sister, listen, I had some neighbors one time and they was like, next door, two of them. I didn't know until after a year and a half. They worked at the strip club. They said, we know when money walk in the room. Might not know him, may not have ever seen him before. But we all know when money walk in the room. And that's who we give our attention to. And there's a communication that goes on between men and women that have nothing to do with vocabulary. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting when you used to hang out with your girls? And maybe not your group, but in most groups, there's always one girl that get all the attention. One girl gravitate, and she can be at a club and see a guy she never seen before and say, that's him. I'm gonna get that. That's money right there. Why? Because there's a communication that goes on between men and women that have nothing to do with vocabulary. And then maybe moments later, guess who up in her face and they talking? They never met. He talking to her. And then you might hear something 30 minutes later. We'll be back. Because there's a communication. It don't have nothing to do with vocabulary. It's almost like a weaker self being attracted to a weaker self. A crackhead can go to a gathering and almost dictate who might be doing crack or who might be doing coke. A cokehead can almost tell you who's doing coke in the room. A gay man, a gay woman can go to a party and almost dictate who might be gay and who might be lazy.
Curious, right? Who might be curious? Just like you saying that. So when I used to live in Atlanta, my brother came into town and I had a whole bunch of friends. Because I was trying to get my thing in the film industry, so I was doing a lot of extra work. So I worked in serving tables. So I had a bunch of friends, and most of them were gay. So I told my brother, "Oh, we're gonna go to a barbecue."
Gay male or gay
Gay
female?
male, gay male. So I have my brother there, and this is back when Beyonce's CD with Naughty Girl and all the other stuff is on it. So my brother's listening to the playlist. He said, "Kelly, is everybody here gay?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "But they don't want you." And when I said something to him, he said, "We know your brother's straight. We don't want nothing to do with him." Because they can tell that he was off, that he was not going to go for it. And so, just like you said, you can see who is willing and who is not without saying a word.
Right.
And I said, Brian, bleep that out. I said, they don't want you. I said, they're not even going to come for you.
Right.
I said, because they know that you are a man's man.
Absolutely.
And they
there's a spiritual and mental and psychological communication that goes on. When it comes to communication is 10% what you say, 90% nonverbal. That's how sometimes you can look at individuals, and if you're not in the church and you're just comfortable with who you are, you be like, I don't know, but it's just something about it I just don't like. And it might be mutual.
So do people miss that sometimes? Because sometimes I give energy to people, whether it's good or bad, and they still miss the cues.
I think because sometimes we're setting our own agenda. And so when we set in our own agenda, whatever cues you give or you forfeit to give, it doesn't really matter because I have my own agenda. It's just like a dude that might see you and say, she look like she got some money. It don't matter how many times you say, no, I just came out of something, I'm not really interested. You go press on. Well, I appreciate that, Well, look, can we do dinner? Well, I'm not really in the space that, I'm just looking for a relationship. And it was like, well, can I keep in contact with you? Can I holler? Because he presupposed that if I try hard enough, I'll be able to cover some ground. Now, I might not be able to cover no ground tonight, but maybe one time I might catch you 2 or 3 days past your cycle and your pH balance is just right. And I might call you if we're friends and say, you want to just hang out? And I might be like, normally I would say no, but I've been in for a couple of months and I might, because some men are like the devil. They don't care how much it costs to buy you. They just want to know, can you be bought? And maybe not today, but maybe next month. So if I can just stay in the friend category, even if I'm not your type, but if I can stay in the friend category, and this is a thing that gay women do as well. Because gay women are like, see, y'all sit up here and go for the kill off gay. I'm going to be friends with her. She know I'm gay. I'm going to be friends with her. Especially the butch that like to turn heterosexual women out. I'm going to just be friends with her. I'm never going to bring it up. I'm never going to crack. Because surely enough, as long as she deals with a heterosexual man, it's countdown when she's going to call me crying on the phone. And I'm going to be right there for her. What you crying about? He said he was going to send me money, child support, and he know I got rent to do, and he ain't give me that money. Now he talking about he ain't going to give it to me at all. Good. That's why I don't screw with niggas. See? How much you need? I need 700. Look, come on over here. I don't know why he do me like this. Every time I turn around, listen. Stop crying. I got you, girl. I got you. And listen, and she ain't even gonna kiss you in the mouth. She be like, I'm gonna kiss you in the forehead. I got you, girl. Stop it. And then by one more time of that, she ain't gonna never make the move. She gonna let the girl make the move. Because nothing is more vulnerable than being hurt emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. You're in a very vulnerable situation. That's why you need to watch the company you keep.
That part. Because I mean, it's men being friends too. Would do the same thing.
You got some gay men that said all men are gay, and I want to be friends with all the heterosexual. Because if I catch you at the wrong time, especially if I catch you at the wrong time, maybe. Every woman that's married, every woman that, at the end of the day, 90% of most women that may be gay was heterosexual at one time. Now, when did the transition happen? It happened at a very vulnerable time. Not always, but it happened at a very vulnerable time. Sometimes you were just curious. I'm just curious for the night. And then you came across a freak that turned you all the way out. And there are men that'll do the same thing. If I can just get it one time, I'm going to lock that down. I'm going to lock down that money. I'm going to get that money. Because I know she got some money. I'm going to get that money. And so therefore I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be consistent, I'm gonna be consistent. And if I get her, I'm gonna turn out, I'm gonna turn the slam out. Swear to God, on my mama, I'm gonna turn out.
A lot of us get hypnotized. I won't say what I really want to say here, but we get hypnotized by some things and don't know how to act afterwards until something goes completely wrong. They'll be like, what in the world? How did I get here?
Yeah.
And it's because we got hypnotized by the magic stick.
Listen, at the end, here's one thing I say, since we're gonna go secular. Nobody can outscrew a broke man but one person, and that's the broke man that just got out. And when you run across any one of them, they're gonna take you on the ride. And they go take you down a road that you probably ain't been there in a good little while. And when he take you down that road, that money go flow freely. Because he's a parasite. He's a leech in the community. He's a mama's boy. Because we live in a day now where men want to be taken care of. And they're not manning up to the point where they want to take care of women. They're to the point where they want to take care of women. So therefore, I've come across dozens of men that they tell you about a girl that they met. They spend 15 minutes telling you about what they do, where they work. She's the director of cardiology over there at Duke Hospital. She got to be making about $250. Her house looked like this. From a scale of 1 to 10, she about a 9, a strong 9. And 9 don't mean she's a 9. A 9 might be a strong 7. She might have a 7 face, but a 9 body. That's gonna put her at a strong 8. And then if you're at a strong 8, she got money. So now you're at 8.5. But you got money, but you're willing to share. That's a 9 every day, all day. That's a 9.
Wow. Okay.
That's a 9.
Woo.
I make me a 9. Now you think she ain't no 9. Oh, she's a 9.
She's a 9.
Oh.
And that might be why people look like, how you get her or how you be with him?
Listen,
because the
absolutely.
9s come out of there when the money happened, I guess.
Listen.
Was there ever a moment that you felt like you bombed on stage?
I've never bombed on stage, and I say that knock on wood because I could always switch the conversation. I always saw comedy as a step down to what I really wanted to do, and what I really wanted to do was to impact people's lives and to give them something to the point that they can take with them. And oftentimes, when it comes to the realm of comedy, particularly in the 90s, our comedy was very much low vibration. We did a whole lot of picking on homosexuals or bisexuals. We did a whole lot of picking on broke women, broke dudes. We even did songs about it. I don't want no scrub. You know, we have a whole lot of stuff as it relates to our community that's really bring about a lot of degradation. You know, hoes ain't loyal. And even though we have radio stations that say support black businesses, but they and their hypocrisy has helped to promote the degradation that we have in our community by the songs they play on the radio. And the songs they play on the radio is just not a song, but it has some spiritual connotations that go along with it. The only on black radio do you hear these hoes ain't loyal. They don't play that on black radio. Country music, pop, they don't downgrade their women. Folk, alternative music, they don't downgrade the music. So there's a bigger system that's working because they know that it takes about 20 years to change a generation. 20 to 25 years to change a generation.
Yeah.
And they've been on point. And while we're trying to figure it out, they don't work it out.
Right.
But there has been times that I have been in front of audiences and they weren't my cup of tea and I weren't their cup of tea. Man, it sound like you're a preacher more so than just getting up here telling jokes. And which is it? You're a preacher? You a comedian? I'm a little bit all of that. A little bit all of that.
Right. And you know, and you just said something. It takes 20, 25 years to change it. But by the time we get to that 20, 25 years of changing, then something else comes out to send us right back to where we were. So it's always...
Or to take us even deeper in the direction that they was going.
Exactly. To keep us where they want us.
Prime example. And no disrespect, but, you know, 21 Savage had a song out about 5-6 years ago. How many people you done shot? A lot. How many people you done killed? A lot. That's playing on radio. You playing this on radio. And then you creating this impression that you ain't done nothing unless you done this.
But this is the
in
problem.
our community.
This is what happens with music. It's not a problem. It is a problem, but it's not a problem. If you put an amazing beat, nobody, and I have been I have been a part of this problem. If the beat is hot, before we hear the music, before we hear the lyrics, rather,
Absolutely.
we rock into it.
Absolutely.
We listen to it. We listen to it over and over and again. And then what happens is you finally hear the lyrics, but now you're so in with the music that you don't even care about the lyrics no more. So now you're just helping this message.
Blame it on the alcohol. Whatever happens tonight, we will blame that on the alcohol.
Blame it on alcohol. But then when a woman is crying that something happened that she didn't want to happen, well, it was the alcohol. You was down for it.
Absolutely.
Now we got to fight
Absolutely.
for what it is that we want because we're so into it's become like it's supposed to. It's something that, well, this is what you asked for. No,
Absolutely.
This is not what I asked for.
This is what's been programmed in our community.
It's the programming.
And
is
it
definitely
comes from the
programming.
higher ups.
Programming.
Not just those that own the radio station, but those that give the people permission to own the radio station.
Right. And
the FCCs are owned by a higher authority.
And they don't look like us.
And they do not.
They don't look like us.
I'm gonna say this. 85% of what Kanye said was actually true. Now you can't knock what he said. What he said, and even those that he anti-Semitic. Listen, you can't be anti-Semitic as it relates to what he's saying, because at the end of the day, y'all ain't real Jews anyway. Y'all Russian Jews, you German Jews, you Polish Jews. Those that's over there in Israel right now are not the Israel that they talk about in the Bible. They are not. Matter of fact, if you go over there right now, it's illegal to do a DNA test if you're over there in Israel.
Really?
Because it's illegal, because none of the people over there in Israel right now, DNA go back to them mummies, go back to the tombs, or even go back to the pictures that you see on the walls in the tombs. None of them go back.
Oh, wow.
They are not the real Jews. The real Jew, matter of fact, when you go back and you hear outside of those that's been programmed by the United States white supremacy, that the children of Israel, a large majority of the children of Israel is over here in America. And Christopher Columbus did not discover America. In fact, you thought you was lost. You thought you was in India. And when you got over here, blacks was already here.
He was trying to go to West Indies, and ended up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a bunch of things.
The black man and the black woman is great. Can I say one thing? Because I when I look at the systemic racism that we learn here in the United States, is really funny, because when we look at the father of medicine, Hippocrates, he's the father of medicine. Where did he get his learning? He got his learning from his grandfather. Where did his grandfather get the learning? Phithemus. Well, who is Phithemus? He's the one that taught Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, all those individuals. Well, where did he get his learning? He said in his writings, all our learning we got from Clement. Well, who is Clement? Clement is Egypt before they changed the name in the 19th century. So the father of medicine got it from his grandfather, and the grandfather got it from Phithemus. He got it from him, but he said all our learning we got from Egypt. Well, why is it that he's the father of medicine? Because the white man decided that is too much credit to be given black people. And they said, this is where we're going to start. Just like we think George Washington was the first president, where in fact there was a couple of black presidents prior to George Washington. There was a couple of black presidents prior to, but they said we're going to start right here. Forget y'all four. We're going to start right here, and this is going to be the first
he's
president.
Going to be the first president of the United States. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So we really do have to, as a culture, unlearn, because the system is set up to divide and conquer. The black man from the white man, the black man from the black woman, the Jews against the non-Jews. It's the divide and conquer. But when we get to the place, as we had talked previously off camera, when you challenge our kids, you challenge our loved ones to think and study for themselves, you'll find out the black man is wonderful. Don't tell us that you're the promise. Don't tell us that you're the promised child And when you turn 40, you look like you old enough to be our father. And we coming out of high school together. The black man is bad. We lead the world when it comes to fashion. We lead the world when it comes to innovation. We lead the world when it comes to inventions. We lead the world when it comes to basketball, football, basketball, acting. We lead the world. We are the chosen people. Whatever we set our hands to, we prosper. Why? Because we're the ones that are blessed. We are the chosen people.
But we have to know that.
You got to know that.
Because the problem is that the reason why there's so much systemic difference is because I said this before, and y'all might run me through the coals for this, but I believe that when a black child now is born, they cry differently than any other child that's born. I'm not going to say white. I'm just saying any other child, because we have survival of the fittest. I believe in that. As time progresses, we choose what we believe in. Just like if a wolf gives pups, the pups know to hunt. If a dolphin gives birth, it knows how to, the calf knows to swim.
Right.
We have trained ourselves to feel like we're inferior too. So when these babies cry in the hospital, they cry differently. One is crying because they're saying you're going to,
right.
and the other one's going the cry is almost like please.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And that grows up and that comes in, and even though some people get successful, it's still a matter
They're
of
few and far between.
It's few and far in between.
You're absolutely right.
And there's so many kids that just feel like, well, I will never have because, or I came from a family who didn't have, but don't have the mind to say, but if I do things differently than where I came from, I can still have, I can still be, I can still live here, I can still have what these people that have gotten their money a little bit faster than I want to, but that's not how life works for everyone. Some people have a gift to be able to get that. But my gift can be in my smarts. My gift can be in something I invent. My gift can be in something that I write. Because we all have a lane that can take us to wherever we need to go.
Brilliant within ourselves. And it's interesting that you said that because it's so true. If my great-grandmother was a slave and she had kids, that low self-esteem that she had has been passed down to her kids. And that low self-esteem that they grew up in that has been solidified by systemic racism is brought down to their kids and is brought down to their kids. So therefore, until that generation come that reprogram the subconscious, then it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same, and it's going to be passed down. And not only from a psychological, intellectual perspective, but from a spiritual perspective as well. We can do exploits, or we can not conquer our demons, and then we will pass them down to our kids to conquer because we didn't do right as it relates to life lessons.
Right. The
Jews was pretty handy when it came to that. We as Westerners, we don't believe that. But the Jews had a working knowledge of reincarnation. Can I give you an example? Yeah. Rabbi. Now, when they said rabbi, they didn't mean it. When they said rabbi, they just said it to be complimentary, but they did not see Jesus as the rabbi. They said, Rabbi, why was this kid born blind? Who sinned that this person was born blind? Was it him? Or was it his parents? Jesus never said, what are you talking about? Because how can you sin before you're born? That's because Jews had a working knowledge of reincarnation. And therefore, they had a working knowledge of, because of the sins of my father, I'm dealing with stuff that has nothing to do with me. Now, let's bring it home. We look at individuals and we call her a hoe, and we call him a hoe, and we call him a gigolo. We say he ain't nothing. He's a narcissist. But could it be that she's a hoe, he's a hoe because mama and daddy was? Mama or daddy was. So could it be that they're dealing with the sins of their fathers that really have nothing to do with them? They just haven't found the key to open and unlock that door. Because once you unlock the door, then you can set others free. But until you can unlock the doors that's here in this kingdom, in this temple, you're not going to be able to set nobody else's free. You're not going to be able to set. And here's the thing, that when you got that type of spirit that's resting on you, even though you don't see it, everybody else see it on you. That's why men at the club gravitate to the same woman, because they see that vibe. They see that vibe that's on that woman. And just like women can see an individual, see a guy and say, he's a beta, he's a simp, I'm going to get that money. Because with what I got, he's not gonna be able to resist, and I'm gonna get that money.
So let's take it back. So you went from the churches, going from church to church, doing your comedic spiel, to actually 1993 ComicView. How did that happen? And these views that you're giving me now, because they seem like they have always been with you, and I love that. Is that something that you brought onto stage immediately, or did you try and do things differently because you were?
I lied.
You lied.
I'm gonna be honest. I lied. I used to go to the Velvet Cloak. It was on Hillsborough Street, and there was a gentleman by the name. He was from up top, but there was a gentleman by the name of Calvin Steele, and he started a comedy club at the Velvet Cloak in the basement. And he had all the comedians to come through. Bruce, Earthquake, D.L. Hughley, a lot of comedians, Ricky Smiley, all of them came to the comedy club. So now I'm in the church. I'm in the church. And I used to go, and somebody told me, oh, he do comedy, where he assumed that I did comedy, boom, boom, boom. So after maybe about 8-9 months going, I went, and the MC came on one particular night, and when they brought on the feature act, and they booed him off the stage. And then they brought on the headliner, which was a Puerto Rican guy out of California. God bless his soul, because maybe about 4 or 5 years later, his daughter was gunned down in a van. And I remember the face so vividly, but I didn't find out until afterwards. He came to the stage and they booed him off the stage. And Calvin Steele said, yo, JT, I need you. I said, what you need? He said, I'm gonna have to get some money back. They just booed the headliner, and he called me from the audience. I'm thinking they got one more that's coming. And he said, listen, I got $700 if you can help out. You can give it to me tonight. He said, yeah, I'll give it to you. I got $700. He said, if not, I'm gonna have to give him the money back. He said, what you need? I said, can I get 2 fuzzy neighbors? Because I was in the church, but I wasn't really no drinker. So I would get towed up off of 2 wine coolers. And so I'm like, can I get 2 fuzzy neighbors? He said, fuzzy what? I said, fuzzy neighbors. He said, he said, you know what a fuzzy neighbor is? He said, I think it's a such and such and such and such. I said, yeah, I think that sounds about right. So he gave me 2 fuzzy neighbors. I downed one, and then I went up on stage. So the headliner got on stage, and somebody did a mama joke. And then he did a mama joke. And they said, another one did a mama joke. And they were like, oh my God, oh my God. Then the headliner did a mama joke. And they were like, a mama joke. Now it's an uproar. And then this dude like, what the heck you got back there? A book? You got a book of mama jokes? And then they booed him off the stage. So I got up on stage, and this was my intro to doing secular comedy. I said, look here. I'm not scared of y'all Negroes. I was just like Bernie Mac. I'm not scared of y'all Negroes tonight. I'm gonna tell you right now. I got 2 good mama jokes. After that, I'm done. Somebody said, that's right. Keep it real. Keep it real. Don't be sitting up here faking the phone. And I said, listen, calm your ass down, and I'm gonna do my set, and then I'm gone. And then I got a standing ovation, and that was my introduction to doing secular comedy. People recognize real, and people recognize honesty, and people recognize when you faking the phone. Because when he told his first mama joke, he said, oh, this is what you want to do? I got 100 of them. I said, I got 2. I got 2.
This is not what I'm here for.
After the second one, I ain't got no more for you. And that was it. And then I started coming in, doing opening up for acts and things of that sort. But because I was a church boy, I was extremely insecure about doing secular jokes.
With the help of Fuzzy Navel, you weren't.
But that was a little help. That was a little help.
But the thing is that when you come honest, and you know what is funny to you, it'll make anybody laugh.
Absolutely.
You know, but I say stuff all the time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I can be a little funny, but if I got up on stage, I would bomb, because it's all about timing. It's about you know, knowing what the truth is and knowing what you want to say. So anyone, you know, a lot of people think they can just get up and just be funny.
Right.
You cannot.
Right.
Because if somebody put me on stage, I'd be like, because it's just not, unless you have training.
And if you have timing, you can learn how to be funny.
Right.
If you have timing and rhythm, you can learn, because most of them were not good when they told their first set.
Right.
And the best of them have been booed off the stage. Even Richard Pryor, he was at the peak of his fame. He went to Africa and he saw pilots, black governors, mayors. He came back, he said, I'm not going to use the term N no more. And they said he was a sellout. He came back, he said, I'm not doing coke before a show no more. He did a show down there at the Fox Theater in Atlanta and he bombed the first night. He came back the next night, he did a little bit of coke. He came back with the nigga. And he got a standing ovation.
Yeah, because after he had come back from Africa, he decided he
Right.
didn't want to add that into
He
his
said,
because
"I'm
he
not-
said he wasn't going to disrespect
Absolutely.
anymore.
I'm not disrespecting my people because I've been to the motherland and we are brilliant.
Right.
But
We don't
we
accept
who
that.
have not been to the motherland, we were stuck in that quagmire of social programming and white supremacy.
Yeah.
And if you won't say nigga, then we didn't want
We
to
weren't
see
funny.
what, you selling out now because you got that money, because that's the frequency that we was on.
Right. So when you first, so it sounds like you weren't nervous, or were you nervous? Or
Absolutely.
did the fuzzy neighbor help
Absolutely.
you do that?
I was terrified because I never done an audience that was non-Christian. Now, wherever there's black people, there are good Muslims and there are good Christians. And then a few agnostics. I don't know about God. Wherever there's black people, there are good vibes. But the need for that $700 outweigh my anxiety and phobia of whether or not I'm going to do good or not. Because at that particular time, I needed
That's $700.
that $700. And that was like back there in 1992, 93, that was like early income tax for me. And when I did what I did, he was like, thank you. And I'm like, thank you. On the
Right.
outside, I was like, anytime. But on the inside, I'm like, oh my God. Jesus. And he handed me $700 in 20s. I said, I think there might be a future in this.
Wow. So describe the difference between, because again, we going through the genesis of who you are now. And so you started in church, then you started on that stage for a more secular group, then television for ComicView. What's the difference between the two? Is it the same audience, or is it harder to make one crowd laugh or the other, or is it just all the same?
The church crowd can be harder because you can go to one church and it's good, and you can go to another church like apostolic and you allude to makeup, women wearing makeup or pants. Oh, we ready to get you off the stage right now.
We don't do that.
You start talking about, this is like 40 years ago, you talking about women wearing makeup, wearing pants, wearing red lipstick. Oh, you going to hell along with them. So therefore you have to know your environment. And oftentimes the Pentecostals was a little bit more strict because 40 years ago, if you was a Christian, you serious. There's no such thing as being funny. And all this laughter, where you get all this laughter from? That God is serious and you don't play with God.
No, well, the Kojic church jacked me up. So
Absolutely.
I grew up a Baptist, but I was staying with a friend of mine. I spent the night at her house, and she had just started going to church, and it was a Kojic church at the corner. So she said, well, come to church with me. Well, I'm in jeans and everything else.
Right.
So she had this really nice dress.
So this is more than 25 years ago.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I know you got it when you walked up
I
there
got
with
it
them
up in there.
pants.
No, boom. It was even worse because even though it was dressy, I had on shorts. It was a dress. It was shorts it was slightly above the knee. It wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
It was slightly above the knee and a top, but it was cute. And I said, oh, well, this is better than when I came in. Do you know that pastor changed his sermon to talk about how women should dress?
Absolutely.
I've never, I'm going to say that in the camera, I've never been to another Kojic church, ever.
You come up in there with something other than a skirt and a dress, you going straight to hell with gasoline draws on.
That part.
You going to hell.
That part. I've never been back in another Kojic church. I was so mortified and so embarrassed. And as a teenager, because I was like maybe a freshman in high school, so I'm really young. And I'm embarrassed. I'm afraid. You don't want to lift your eyes. You don't want to meet eyes with nobody. And I'm like, what happened to the come as you are, or to teach someone how, or the fact that I even came, because I didn't have to be here.
You got to come right. the first time, whether you know what right is or not. And if you don't know what right is or not, depending on how you offended me, I'm getting ready to teach you what right is.
Man.
And don't you ever bring your oatmeal toothpaste pie eating tail in here like that again.
Right. Well,
Now, what he didn't say was, don't you come up in here looking sexy, because I might get weak.
That part.
Because some of the biggest ones that bring about condemnation are those that bring about condemnation because it's indicative of what they're wrestling with.
Right.
So I got to beat you down.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when you look at the first lady, she looked like a notch above, not always, but she looked like a notch above homeless.
Yeah.
And you got these men, they GQ'd in the pulpit, and the wife looked like plain Jane.
Because she's
There's
supposed
something to
look,
that.
Yeah.
Some of the most frustrating women that I've ever met have been first ladies. Who can they be friends with? Who can you tell your business to and it's not gonna get out there in the church? And therefore, this is one thing I've learned, that we are not to sit up here and emulate everybody we see in the pulpit, because some of those ones in the pulpit or spouses to those in the pulpit are more miserable than we are. Who can the first lady talk to? She can't talk to men, and she can't talk to them gossiping women in the church. So the only thing she can talk to is other first ladies.
And she can't have no woman that dresses fly and everything else, because that woman is
And
probably
she can't-
after her man.
And she can't tell nobody that she's gone 3 or 4 months without sex. Because I met pastors that got enough kids out there on the road that can start their own daycare. It's sad, but it is. And here's the thing, behind every public success is a private struggle. There's always people, and we all at some point masquerade like we got it all together.
And that's,
but we're struggling.
and that's where the humor comes in, because we have to remember that we are all human at the end of the day. No matter what your beliefs are, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, we all live our lives in a certain way. And if we can just bring laughter to it, not to say that it erases some of it, because some of it's just it's raggedy, but it just lightens the load that we all have to carry, because we get so dignified and so strong that we carry this weight upon us, and then we wonder why we're having high blood pressure, strokes, heart attacks. Folks is dropping before they even 40, 45, before they, where our grandparents were up in age when they passed, but not us now, because
stress is the silent killer.
It is, and I refuse.
Smoke and ice, twice as nice. I'm your vice. Smoke and ice.
We hope you've enjoyed Smoke and Ice with Kelly Allen. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend so they too can be informed and entertained. For more information about the show, go to smokeandice.net.